We're back in 8.9 example 2, and really more of the same, except for this example what they're wanting us to do is approximate the answer, because we're not going to be able to get to an exact answer like we did in example 1. So I'm hoping that you really like the quadratic formula and like that strategy. Hope so. So let's go ahead and get example 2 started. Let me demonstrate. You will need your calculator. Have that handy. You won't need it this second, but you will eventually. So we have our trinomial all on the left side set equal to 0. That's perfect scenario. And now we can identify A is 1, B is -2, and C is -4. That's great. Okay? I would calculate my discriminant first. And so what that's going to look like, we're going to plug in -2 for B, and we're going to square that. -2 squared minus 4 times 1 times -4. Now, I am showing you how you should key it in. So use your parentheses and put -2 in parentheses and then square it, -4 times 1 times -4. And do you see you got the number 20? Okay, so that's great. We already know what the discriminant is. I can already tell because that number 20 is positive, I can go ahead and proceed because I can take the square root of 20. Okay, it's positive. I can do that. So let's practice our formula. -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And we need to plug in some values. So the first thing we need to do is find the opposite of b. Well, b is -2, so I need the opposite of -2. That's +2, plus or minus. And then we already know what the discriminant is. That's 20 goes under the square root sign, and then we got to do 2a, 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay? Now you probably noticed that 20 is not a perfect square. I'm not going to be able to take the square root of 20 and get an integer answer. It's not possible. It's not a perfect square. So what we're going to do is we're going to estimate the answer. This is the exact answer here. Okay? And then this one is also an exact answer. Both of these are exact answers. So if you were working on a test and they didn't give you the decimal approximations, you would see something close to this. There's actually some simplifying you could do on both of these, but these are what we call the exact answer. What we want to do is we want to do the decimal equivalent. So this is what I need you to do. First thing, to get it started in your calculator, I want you to do 2 plus the square root of 20. So just type that in, 2 plus square root of 20, and hit the enter. And do you see a long decimal? I'll read mine to you. 6.472135955. And there's probably more than that behind it, okay? Now don't erase that number. Leave that decimal there. So we did that part first. There's your numerator. Now we want to divide by the denominator. So don't erase that number, just divide by 2. And you have another long answer, and I'll read mine to you. 3.236067977. I'll even write it for you. 3.236067977. Okay? Well, I don't want to see a decimal that long. So what I want you to do is I want you to go out to the third decimal place and round it to 2 decimal places. And so this answer is approximately 3.24. We rounded it, so we can't say it equals 3.24, but we can say it's about or approximately 3.24. Now we're going to do the same thing up here with 2 minus the square root of 20. You're going to do that part first, so that's why I'm putting it in parentheses. So go ahead and key that in, 2 minus the square root of 20. 2 minus the square root of 20. You're going to have this long decimal. And here, I'm going to read mine to you. -2.472135955. Now, what we're going to do, don't erase that decimal. Now we're going to divide it by the denominator, 2. And here's your long answer, negative 1.236067977. That's well and good, but we need to look at the third decimal place to see how it rounds to the second decimal place. And so we would write negative 1.24. Okay, so this is where our x-intercepts. This is approximately where they would cross, is at 3.24 and negative 1.24. So these are your approximate answers, which is what they were asking us to find. These are the exact answers, although they can be simplified a little bit more than that. Hopefully we'll get to that in another lesson. Okay, so B is yours. I need the approximate answers for this. I'll give 2 points if you can give me the approximate decimal equivalents for these answers, okay? Good luck. Bring your questions to class tomorrow.